Good morning and welcome to the EZFX Signal Trading Room for Monday, October 3rd, 2016. My name is Bradley Freed, and for the next 20 to 30 minutes, we'll be talking about the market and trading opportunities. We'll be updating the trades we were watching or trading last week, and we'll be talking about any new trade opportunities that have appeared between when we talked last Thursday and this Monday. To get started, I want to go ahead and review the watch list from last week as of Thursday. And as usual, if you have any questions during this broadcast, we have a chat room on this page. You can post your questions. I will answer them live all together at the end of the broadcast. Or if you're watching the recording, you can send me an email at ezfxsignal@gmail.com, or you can go into the community menu on this website and post to the trading room group, or send me a private message. My handle is EZFX. You can find me on the members list. All right, so let's go ahead and review the list. We weren't watching anything at the end of the last week because last week was, quite frankly, a really terrible market for our system. And after experiencing a series of losses early in the week, I could really sense that we were getting setups, valid setups, that in other times would have yielded, at least 4 out of 10. At least a 40% win percentage. We were getting 0, and they were just breaking out, falling, breaking out, falling, or breaking down and rising, as the case may be, and we were getting stopped out. So that was a signal to me to pull back. So what I did is just stop taking new trades, and I think that was, in fact, the wise choice. There were some pairs that did set up, and they went ahead and went to at least initial targets, but it was a very volatile market. It was a market where things were giving signals that weren't performing. And at those times, I like to pull back and be very careful. And so that's what we're doing right now. So let's go ahead and look at what was new and open at the end of last week. The Aussie dollar was a buy trend trade. That was new. Our pound dollar buy trade was also new, as was the pound Aussie and the euro pound sell. Our open trades as of the end of last week that were signal trades were the pound yen buy, the pound Swiss buy, and the pound Aussie buy. So let's go ahead and jump over the charts. Let's look at these, and then we'll start to look at if there are any setups at all. When I opened the charts this morning, it was just garbage. I didn't see anything that looked like a trade setup. So we may be in for a little bit of a wait to get our next valid trade setup, but that's okay. It's a pain, but it's the market telling us that this is not a time to trade if we're trading by these rules and with this system. So let's go ahead and jump over to the charts. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the Aussie dollar. If I can find the Aussie dollar, there it is. Okay, so we had talked about a buy trend trade. This pair had stopped out or had broken through a zone, dropped, and risen through the zone again, fell to the stop. So this would have been a failure of the trend trade, and we would have stopped trading it at that point. I do not currently see, there is a sell set up here that fell and then retraced. I would not trade this at this point. I think it's probably going to keep trending. If we look at the long-term trend, it's been rising and has the potential to continue to rise and maybe even break through this support zone right here. So I'm holding off on this pair at this point. But I'm going to go ahead and say that this trade would have stopped out. Pound dollar buy, that's a new trade. Another one we were looking at. And this just, it did kind of set up, but not really. I mean, this is another example of what I'm talking about, because we had a valid trade set up here that stopped out. We drew a new trend line. Valid trade set up here on a new trend line. It broke down and stopped out. And I've drawn a third trend line here, but this pair continues to fall. And if we look at the current trend, it's just in one direction. We haven't seen any news out of the UK that gives us any kind of confidence that we're ready for a reversal up of the Brexit drop. And it continues to test this low made down here after Brexit. And it will probably go lower. I can imagine a situation where this is gonna, the pound could drop as far as dropping to parity with the dollar, which would be absolutely amazing. It would be a real disaster for the UK and for the global economic system. But I'm just going to say that there's nothing here. I'm going to cancel this idea right now. And we don't often get weeks like this where we start with nothing, but that's what we're facing this week. And in the year and a half I've been trading versions of the mean reversion trading system, I haven't seen too many weeks like this. It has happened once or twice before, but not really so completely like this. So I'm just going to cancel that idea. Pound Aussie buy. Same thing. You know, it was setting up a new breakout. I didn't really trust it. It dropped, and it gapped down, and it's fallen a lot further after that. So this is also canceled. I did not send any of these out of signal trades last week, just to be clear. Euro pound sell, that's another one. And this gave a signal, and then it started to retrace up and finally broke through and made a new high. So this is also not wanting to break down, even though it's giving valid signals with, you know, a bubble, triangle moving average color change, trend line break, Class A divergence, or Class A supply zone. All those things failed to confirm an entry. So the fundamentals are so strong that are working against us that our system indicator isn't giving us a strong counter trend move to trade off of at this point in time. Now, that will change. We'll see shifts back that will give us opportunities to trade and make profit, but that's just kind of the way it goes. All right, so now we get into our signal trades. Let's look at the pound yen buy. Note that all these pound trades have fallen against us overnight. The pound yen being no exception. It's dropped after it made this sell bubble here and this high here, and it's fallen. It hasn't stopped out yet. It's kind of headed in that direction. We're so close to the original entry, I'm just going to let it run and see if it will reverse and go ahead and move to a target. But at this point in time, yeah, this is drooping pretty badly. It's still an open trade though. Pound Swiss did stop out. This broke out, rose, and then it started to fall. We had a buy bubble here that it rose up on, and then we didn't have a sell bubble, but it dropped again and made a new low and hit the stop. So this is done. I have drawn a new trend line above price here. If we do get some kind of momentum in the opposite direction, there may be a new trading opportunity in the buy direction. So I'm going to put this back on the watch list. But unfortunately, this trade stopped out. Finally, the pound Nizzy. This pair has also dropped quite significantly. It has not stopped out. It's still open, but it did approach the stop loss level. We'll see if it can recover at all at this point. But again, all these pairs seem to be wanting to drop. And the pound continues to fall apart. So that's where we're at right now. I did want to go ahead and kind of scan through the pairs, things that we don't have open trades on, and just start to maybe look for new things. So let's go ahead and I'm just going to clear my templates, all the old lines, and look at this stuff fresh. So the Aussie Newsy, we have a Class A supply zone here that saw a breakdown and a sell bubble. Go ahead and mark the bubble. Move towards the target if we had set up a trade, and then it's retraced back up to the supply zone here. I'd be looking for a new sell bubble and new indicators that it's going to drop before I trade this again. My bias for this is in the sell direction. However, it is kind of moving in the long-term buy direction. So I think there's also a trend trade opportunity here. The current supply zone here is only 20 pips thick. The bottom of this recent low is 116 pips. I went to the top of this zone. So I think if this zone was broken, we can think about taking a trend entry on this pair. And probably putting a stop below one of these recent lows made during this advance back to the zone. So I'm going to put Aussie Newsy buy. Our watch list. Next we've got pound dollar. I'm going to go ahead and clear the trend lines here. It is a good idea to do this from time to time. It just allows you to take a fresh perspective on what you're seeing on the chart. So again, we have a downward trend. We have this zone of consolidation where we've had a ranging market since the Brexit drop. And I've been hoping for another rise to this zone here. That would be a great buy trade for us. We're seeing this flattening of the triangular moving average, but we're also seeing a pair that seems to want to make lower lows at the moment. So for this one, if I was gonna sell it, if I was gonna bet on that breakdown, let's see how thick this zone is, and then we'll see if that makes any sense at all. It's 167 pips thick. So, and it's very volatile. So I don't know that I want to sell that just because I don't have a good place to set a stop right now. But I'll go ahead and mark it just in case. What I still like is the idea of trading that ranging movement. So I'm going to set a trend line above price here and wait for a buy bubble and other confirming signals. And I would be interested in buying this. We do have a lot of pips above, above this line relative to current price right now to this zone. We have 439 pips. If we did get another volatile breakout and move back up towards this line, we do have a lot of opportunity for profit there. So I'm going to call this pound dollar buy. I'll go ahead and add that to the list. Euro pound, this is another one, just nasty piece of crap. Excuse my French. And go ahead and clear the charts. Let's just move to the 4 hour and see what's going on, because the 4 hour is sometimes much more clear. It's made a new high. It broke through this high made here. This was post-Brexit high. This is Brexit here. It moved on and made another high, another high, another high. This is trending very strongly in the buy direction. So if I was thinking I would ever want to trade this in the sell direction, probably want to just follow it on the 4 hour chart. and draw a trend line under price, like so. That looks like a good line to me. And just slowly watch it and let it go ahead and emerge. And at the same time, be thinking about, are there opportunities for me to trend trade this pair? Right now, I don't think there are, but it's definitely something I'd be looking at. So I'm just going to put the euro pound sell here, that idea. I'll just make a note that we're looking at the 4-hour chart. Also, this Aussie newsy is a trend trade. Pound Aussie, let's go ahead and clear this out. This dropped pretty significantly to the next demand zone down here. That demand zone is 46 pips thick. If this pair continues to drop, and that may be a sell opportunity in the trend direction. Switching up to the 4-hour chart, you can kind of see the logic of a buy trade setting up. We've had a huge drop down to this zone here. And remember last week, this was the zone that was the bottom. We were kind of looking at when we set up a buy trade, we thought it might just go down here, and it did, in fact, drop all the way there. It may go further, in fact. But if I was going to think about a buy trade, I'd probably just connect these two wicks and start thinking about a buy trade. And I'd probably follow it on the 4-hour as well, just because it's a slower chart. It's going to give us the confirmation more slowly. It slows everything down, makes everything more clear. And this would just be a longer term trade when it finally does set up for us. But yeah, I'm going to put that on here too. Pound Aussie. And these are techniques that I haven't had to use in a long time because we haven't had a market like this for a long time. But yeah, it's probably time to start thinking about 4-hour setups. New Yen. That's actually open right now, so I'm going to leave it alone. Aussie dollar, this is another one that we can think about changing. Move up to the 4-hour chart, it becomes more clear. We have a Class A zone. We have a triangle moving average that is positive right now. It may be making a lower high, getting ready to fall. If it does, our trade setup can be built around a drop below this trend line. I'll go ahead and use this. So we'll say it's an Aussie dollar sell. And again on the 4-hour. Euro Aussie, this is another mess right now on the 1-hour chart. Switch to the 4-hour and suddenly it becomes a little bit more clear that it looks like it's challenging these lows down here and maybe getting ready, in fact, to go up. I would kind of draw a conservative trend line over price like this, and then think about a setup once that trend line is broken and we see some other indications on the 4-hour chart of a buy trade setting up. The real point here is to slow this down, wait for the market to really start to shift. Moving to the 4-hour chart and working off that chart for a while does help that process. The dollar rand, this actually rose and hit an initial profit target. I didn't take this trade. It was a bit of a retrade. I stopped out once on it. Did not take this because I had stopped trading at the middle of last week. However, right now on the 4-hour chart, this is kind of not showing us anything at all. I would not trade this. And it really isn't a pair I trade anyway. But I did try to trade it last week. Doesn't mean it's a bad pair, just I don't have a lot of experience with it. So it's something we can revisit in the future, but I'm not looking to trade this again anytime soon. Dollar peso is a pair that I love to trade. It got stopped out last week and actually dropped to a target. It's actually fulfilling the plan that we'd made for it in the sell direction. If I go ahead and again apply the template again to get a fresh chart, switch to the 4-hour chart, we can see this is in the midst of a strong move downward that it started and hit initial profit targets hit an initial profit target for us on the 1-hour chart. It's still moving downwards. I kind of expect this to continue. I don't think there's a setup on this right now, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Newsy dollar, that's ranging. Euro Newsy's ranging. A lot of these other pairs I've looked at, but they just don't seem to be doing much. CAD. So you can see a lot of volatility, a lot of directionlessness, a lot of big moves in both directions that don't really give us a lot of confidence in taking a setup in either direction at this point in time. Aussie CAD, Euro dollar, dollar yen. Pound CAD looks kind of interesting. I mean, all these pound pairs look interesting because they made such extreme moves that I think have to retrace at some point in time. We just haven't seen that retracement yet. This is still though moving downwards. I think it's going to revisit these two zones down here before it ever wants to retrace. So I'm just going to leave this alone right now. Swiss yen's a mess. Euro Swiss is a mess. Really not a lot that I'm interested in getting into in the near term. In fact, there's nothing new that I want to take right now. So I want to manage out our current open trades. We have 2 left. And I want to watch these. And a lot of them are on the 4-hour chart. There's a trend trade on the pound Aussie, and there's a couple 1-hour trades on the pound Swiss and the pound dollar that I'll be watching. And I'll outline this again in the analysis report. I wrote it yesterday, and then the market opened and it gapped down, and I thought, well, maybe we need to wait and see a little more before we do an analysis report. So now that we've run through the market, I've kind of found my focus for the week. I'll be finish writing this up and get it out sometime later today, hopefully. All right, so that's it for now. I just want to check and see if we have any live people on the chat room. I know it's been a little long, I'm sorry. But we don't have anybody live, but we did complete our market analysis. If you have any questions, go to the community menu, and you can go to members and find me. I'm EZFX, send me a private message. You can go to groups, find the trading room group, and post to the group. You can post charts, you can post questions, you can post anything you want about trading. And our other members or myself will respond to you and give you comments or answers to your questions. Or you can always send me an email at ezfxsignal@gmail.com. Have a great day. It is disappointing that we don't have things setting up right now to take trades on, but there are times to be careful. There are times not to trade. There are times to trade, and there are times to trade aggressively. Right now is the time to kind of wait for some things to show us that they're happening before we risk any more money, just because we have some drive or compulsion to be in a trade. So that's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with another broadcast. I'll be sending a link to a new analysis report very soon, sometime today within the next few hours. And look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye-bye.